on a Money Monday, and I think we do have them on right now. Okay, great, folks. And joining us now here live on a Money Monday is fellow PhD Dr. John Lott, excuse me, and he is the president at the Crime Prevention Research Center. And folks, you definitely want to check out all the amazing information available with them. But again, Dr. Lott joins us here on a Money Monday. Dr. Lott, how are you, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate that. Dr. Lott, obviously I can see the posters in the background. We know that gun reform, gun control, gun ownership is under the microscope again. And we know obviously in the last couple of weeks, we've had two mass shootings, two very different mass shootings in terms of the perpetrator themselves, sort of the target audience that they were seeking. It just seems that, whether it's NRA vilification or gun laws are already on the books, it seems that gun reform and gun control are popular topics. How do you see this playing out, Dr. Lott?
Well, everybody wants to do something. Everybody wants to try to keep dangerous, prohibited people from obtaining guns. The problem is the types of rules that keep on being pushed, often within an hour or two of the attack before they even know any of the facts about the individual attack, wouldn't have stopped those attacks. The big thing that's being pushed right now are these background checks, either the so-called closing the Charleston loophole or these universal background checks on the private transfers of guns. There's not one mass public shooting this century that would have been stopped if either of those rules had been in effect. My own belief, unfortunately, is I've come to think that they really just want to make it costly for law-abiding citizens to be able to get guns. So take something like the Charleston loophole case. The claim is that Dylan Roof, who shot the black church in Charleston, South Carolina in 2015, if they had only had more time, so they want to allow up to 30 days to go and check somebody's background, they would have figured out that he was a prohibited person. That's simply not true. You're prohibited from buying a gun if you're a felon or certain misdemeanors, or if you've been arrested for crime, a state crime in this case, where you would be serving a prison term of 2 years or more. He was arrested for a misdemeanor drug possession. The maximum prison term he would have faced would have been 6 months. So they could have checked his record for 30 years and they still wouldn't have been able to stop. If they want to change the rules so that any arrest for any misdemeanor would bar you from being able to go and purchase a gun until you're adjudicated, fine, make that claim and push that. If they want to have 30-day waiting periods for people to go and buy guns, fine, make that claim, make it explicit that that's the point of the law that they want to push and argue for it. But instead, what they want to do is tag it to a heinous crime and that they wouldn't have stopped even if their rule had been in effect. But they want to use that to go and push other types of laws that I guess they don't think they can get enacted otherwise. And, you look at these things, if they really want to get background checks, there's a few simple changes that they could make that would make them reasonable, but they refuse to make them. And I'm happy to talk about them if you want me to.
Absolutely. And again, Dr. Lott, and for our audience here, tuning in here on a Monday here on Liquid Lunch, you can check out all the wonderful resources available by the Crime Prevention Research Center at their website, www.crimeresearch.org. Dr. Lott, I have an affinity for criminal justice. I worked in the criminal justice system for 10 years before entering academia, obviously getting graduate degrees in criminal justice. I've always had a passion for it. I've always been interested in looking at trends and looking at the way that our system has evolved and how it still continues to evolve right now in our political and social climate. Let me ask you this, because we have about 3 minutes left on the show. You mentioned the Colorado incident, and again, I don't want to make this overly political, but it seems that every major gun control / gun reform law that needed to be put into effect, right, that many on the left and progressives are always, harping on, seem to be in effect in the state of Colorado. And yet that still didn't stop this man from purchasing a weapon, despite the fact that he was on the FBI watch list, if I'm not mistaken. And even with all of those dynamics there, he still was able to purchase a firearm and obviously carry out this heinous act. It just seems that, there's always this campaign about gun control, but guess what? Even in cities or states where the laws are stricter than others, guess what? These acts are still taking place, Dr. Lott. It's really, really disheartening.
Look, I wish there was some magic bullet for some of the things that they're pushing that would work. There are things that can be done, but they refuse to do it. I mean, the big thing you look at is 94% of these mass public shootings occur in places where people were banned from having guns. These attackers may be crazy in some sense, but they're not stupid. Their goal is to commit suicide usually, but do so in a way that's going to get them publicity. And they know the more people they kill or wound, the more publicity that they're going to be able to get. So they go to a place where victims aren't going to be able to go and defend themselves. I mean, if you have one police officer in uniform there, they have an incredibly difficult job because the killers know if they go to a place where civilians are banned from having a gun, who are they going to go and kill first? It's going to be that officer because they know once they kill that officer, they're going to have free reign to go after the other people that are there. You'd actually make the job of the officer safer if you allowed the civilians to carry in those places because the killers would know that when they go after the officer, they reveal their position and they have to worry that somebody behind them or to the side might be able to go and stop them. At some point when these attacks keep on occurring time after time in these places, the successful attacks, people would believe that it's just not random. At our website at crimeresearch.org, we have literally dozens of unsuccessful attacks where the killers went to places where victims were allowed to defend themselves and they were stopped. The thing is, those cases just don't get national news coverage. My guess is the entire debate would be dramatically different if once in a while the media would mention in their news coverage that we've had yet another attack in places where guns are banned. And once in a while give national news coverage to the cases where people with permanent concealed handguns have stopped the attacks.
Dr. Lott, I have to cut you off there, and my apologies to you. You're a wealth of information, Dr. Lott. Again, everyone, please check out the Crime Prevention Research Center, again, at crimeresearch.org. I did Google you before the show, Dr. Lott. Shout out to you, UCLA Bruins, moving on the Sweet 16 in the March Madness, tournament. I'm sure you must be proud as an alumnus. Thank you so much for coming on Liquid Lunch here today, Dr. Lott. Again, your contributions are amazing. Keep up the great work right here, and thank you for joining us here on Liquid Lunch here on a Monday. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Folks, again, Dr. John Lott there from the Crime Prevention Research Center. Amazing organization. Check out all the resources, crimeresearch.org. Folks, we'll be right back here on a Monday edition of Liquid Lunch. I'm Fernando Uribe, filling in for John Tobacco. We'll be right back after this.